How do we come up with creative designs? That's what we're talking about today on Generally Engineered. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Generally Engineered. My name is Jacob, and today we're talking about creativity and how to create more creative solutions. These are some things that have resonated with me reading these things, things that I want to fall back on next time I feel stuck and feel unable to come up with anything creative. So this is not so much my recommendation, although if this helps you, that's awesome. But these are the things that I want to fall back on when I do get stuck here, because this is a place where I feel that I get stuck a lot of times, is coming up with these really creative and kind of out-of-the-box solutions. So the first big thing is how you're framing the problem. How am I thinking about this particular thing? Because how we frame problems, how we ask questions, kind of limits the solutions that our brain will come up with. It limits the connections that our brain may make. So thinking about how you actually frame a problem, how you're thinking about some challenge that you're having, whether it's in a big, what is my business actually doing sense, or in a smaller nuts and bolts sense of how do I get these two pieces to fit together. Thinking about how you're thinking about that problem, as kind of abstract as that is hugely important. Asking the question differently is a good kind of example of that. This can be very difficult to do. A ton of resources and time and energy go into this whole framing the problem issue in professional contexts. So if you find it hard, that's because it is. And the natural follow-up to this is, how do you frame a question creatively? And that's a great question for a future episode. And I would love to dig into that. For now, one of the things that I like to do and works for me personally is thinking about things in terms of their function, thinking about components in terms of what they do, not necessarily what they are. So if you have the problem of joining two surfaces, but your screw for whatever reason isn't working, you can take a step back and think about what exactly is that screw doing. At a higher level, it's holding two things together. So you can then take that and think about the other things that help hold things together, like glue or nails or rivets if you are working with metal and things like that. So it expands your horizons a little bit and breaks you out of component fixation. It stops you from thinking about things in terms of what you have and instead of in terms of things and what they actually do and what you need them to do. So the second thing is your knowledge base and how you make connections. I know a lot of the people that I look up to and think are very creative, and I think they come up with really creative things, they're able to make connections between a lot of different things. Usually they're pretty well read and they know what's going on in the world. They know a lot about things that are happening in technology, whether it's on the forefront or like history. Making those connections between your knowledge base is huge. And so expanding that knowledge and learning about new things and practicing and doing things and is a huge part of this. And it helps you draw on more experiences, draw on more information to help make really valuable connections between things. A lot of very creative solutions that I've seen are derived from those connections. They come directly from those things. So making those connections is, again, it's not an easy thing to do, but if it was easy, everyone would do it. Sometimes thinking about what else have I seen that does similar things? What else do I know of, or does a friend know of? It might be helpful to ask a friend here. Just to expand that knowledge base and help make connections between other things that might not even be related or only tangentially related to what you're doing. So the third thing is challenging your assumptions, and this is very similar to the first one. How you think about a problem and the assumptions you make about a problem are huge. What are you taking for granted about a particular problem or thing, and how might you challenge it? I like to talk about this or think about this in terms of cars. A lot of electric car development is going on right now. That really stems from a challenging of an assumption. What if we didn't use an internal combustion engine? What kind of things can we do if we get rid of that particular assumption and replace it with something else? Uber is another example of this, challenging fundamental assumptions about the ride-sharing taxi business. A good way to think about it is to ask, what if this particular aspect of this problem wasn't the case? What if I didn't have to rely on this power source? Or what if I didn't have to join something together like this? That can be a very valuable exercise to do just as a thought experiment, regardless of whether you can actually do it or not. So this is very high-level stuff. It's kind of abstract, but I think this exercise is helpful if it reminds us to think about some of these things. I know it's hard for me when I'm in the thick of it to think about challenging assumptions or how I'm thinking about the problem. So taking that step back can be very helpful. So if you do know what works best for you and you have a really great suggestion, drop it in the comment section below. I'd love to see that, and I'm sure everyone else would too. There's a lot of different strategies that people have and things that work really well for them. So leave that in the comment section below, what works well for you or your experiences or whatever. So with that, thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. If you like this video, drop it a like. And subscribe to get all of the latest updates. We also have a Facebook page that you can like and get updates on all the different upcoming projects that we have going on, all the usual social media stuff. I've been Jacob. Keep on making.